Gwe, marhaba, hello, and bonjour. My name is Nizam Farah, and I know you didn't ask, but you know what really blows my foghorn? Welcome everyone to the first episode of my podcast, and I do want to show appreciation to Ubuntu Media, Israel, everybody here. Thank you so much for having me and making sure that this is possible. So this first episode is going to be about New Year's resolutions. The title is New Year's resolution, don't be a dick. Yeah, I know sometimes that's harsh, but please follow through and you'll see exactly what I mean. So we're going to go into a deep dive of the meaning of self-awareness. When people think of New Year's resolutions, they're like, new year, new me. The first thing that pops to your mind is physical health. Hey, I'm all about it. Go to the gym, eat better. Secondarily, that should be taking care of your mental health. I understand that. But don't be getting grumpy at people when you're sitting here even eating rabbit food and you're not getting your carbs, and be a dick. And that's what we're going to be talking about. If you choose to change something in your life that you don't really want to change, why take it on others and make them feel like shit, right? If you don't take the time to understand yourself, as really take a deep dive into your self-awareness and who you truly are. How are you becoming any better than that douchey selfie that you're taking at the gym, right? So this is going to be a little bit more about my journey with self-awareness and mental health. I started going to therapy again, and I've always struggled with my own mental health. I've had quite the upbringing that maybe indirectly has contributed to how I currently look at things. You know, I have a perspective that is different than others, and when I do choose to chat with people, I get upset or I get pissed off because I put myself at and I don't want to say a higher pedestal, but my expectations are different than the individual that I'm talking to. And if that conversation doesn't meet my expectations, I get upset, right? I become a dick. So how is that their fault? I'm choosing to place myself in a different perspective that is not ideal for every day or today's views, right? So I want to take this opportunity to explore myself, and I want you to explore yourself and not judge or give up, but really take a deep dive into your own self-awareness. And this is really good for anyone. You know, if you are a boss, could be really good for your relationship. As an employee, any day, anywhere in your life, you really need to start focusing on your own self-awareness. So when I started going back to therapy, even the first couple sessions, I started to realize that sometimes I can be a dick. And, you know, it's tough. It is really tough. I take things out of perspective, and then I attack based on my own emotions and not what is being said, and not sitting down and really understanding the situation. So I always have discussions with people, and sometimes they can get intense. But again, I sometimes take things out of context, and then I fight with my own emotions rather than my own understanding or even the other person's understanding. And then you begin to think people are idiots. They just don't get it. And then you start to reflect and you say, you know what, there's nothing wrong with me. There's just something wrong with you. Why don't you get it? But, you know, at this point, what the struggle is, I start to blame myself. Obviously, the reason why people don't understand what I'm trying to say is because of me. And sometimes people feel that way. And there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. But you really need to sit down and understand, okay, is it really my fault? Am I taking things out of context? But the problem is, when you don't have those answers, there becomes an internal clash with yourself on a daily basis because you feel like you're alone. You feel like people just don't get it. So you start going to the gym again. Yeah, that's great. But you start pushing yourself down, and going to the gym just doesn't mean anything. And all you really want to do is just go and get a donaire and eat your emotions away. I've done that several times. But once you feel alone, you somewhat become reckless. And that's when it becomes dangerous. Nothing you do or say is enough. You chase a small thing, and then it becomes a bigger and bigger issue, where it starts to snowball into something that it should not have been. Any positive thoughts you may begin to have become quite quickly negative, because you're programmed yourself to be this new person. How in hell is this helping you or anyone else around you? But at the end of the day, and this is putting my situation in perspective, people understand me. People know who I am and how I can be. And that's when sometimes I can be perceived as a dick. Yeah, that is my fault. But I am starting to work on my self-awareness, where instead of clashing out with people and not understanding where they're coming from, take a step back, listen, ask more questions, and start putting things into a better perspective for yourself where you do understand it. And instead of answering with emotions, you're starting to answer with more sense, right? You're not being offensive anymore. Now I began to see how people truly feel rather than react in what they say, placing myself in their shoes. How would they feel when I do react this way? Nobody wants to be attacked, especially if you're just having a regular conversation. Again, back to having a conversation with your spouse, your boss, or one of your employees. It's really good to take a step back, understand what they're truly trying to say, and then answer with sense rather than answer with emotions, because that doesn't help anyone. That person is going to take offense, and then you're going to start taking offense. It's going to make other people feel better about themselves and about the discussion itself. Probably it all comes down to not being a dick. Make sure that when you are comfortable with yourself and your previous experiences, you are ready to take the world by the genitalia and live on with your good life. So, friends, that's the end of the first episode. Thank you so much for listening in, and I can't wait to see what else I'm going to show you.